holidays. Who wouldn't want that? And Wellness Week with everybody off kind of feels like Christmas time almost. That would be amazing. I need to go back to my executives and talk about that, but I think that's, again, just taking action. Our next is 3 Wishes, and the topic is 3 Wishes, 1 Vision, building a brand on purpose and passion with co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer of 3 Wishes Food, Ian Wishingrad, and moderated by Ralph Cartwright, Business Growth Director of Hawke Media. I was reading a little bit about Ian, and one of his issues is his 3 wishings was his 1 child, but he has another now, so they have 4. I'm curious to see what's going to go on with that, but it's sounds like it's run by Margaret, Ian, it's Ellis, or Ellie, and Jonah. So come on up. Awesome.
Good morning. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us here with Brand Innovators and Kenneth Cole in New York. Absolutely epic offices, I have to say. So really enjoyed the day thus far. I'm joined here with Ian Wishingrad, and we're going to be discussing 3 Wishes, 1 Vision, building a brand on promise and passion. Should be a good time. We've got some good questions, and buckle in. By way of introductions, my name is Ralph Cartwright. I'm the Director of Growth at Hawke Media. For those of you who don't know, Hawke Media is a performance marketing agency based in LA. Based in LA with offices in New York. Been at the company about 6 years. We work with brands like Verizon, Red Bull, HarperCollins, and yeah, really looking to see how, on a day-to-day world where profit is so important, how you intertwine passion, purpose, and brand, and all the things we've spoken about today with that. So, Ian, as mentioned, founded a creative agency in New York called Big Eyed Wish. Ian and his wife Margaret had so much fun building brands, they decided to build their own, and so they started 3 Wishes. Since then, they've gone strength to strength, being featured as one of the top selling cereal brands on Amazon, being on CNN, Fox News, and Good Day New York. I'll let Ian speak to the naming. As a marketing creative guy myself, I found it really quite cool how you intertwine, your story and actually what the brand does. So without further ado, Ian, why 3 Wishes?
Thank you. Hi everyone, thanks for having me. Just by way of introduction, 3 Wishes is a cereal. It's called 3 Wishes cereal. And yeah, basically, I'm sure we all, like 90% of US households have a box of cereal in their home. And I think before we kind of came into the category, cereal was in decline. And I think everyone kind of figured out that cereal was nothing more than dessert pretending to be breakfast. Government subsidized grains, sprayed with chemicals and sugar, part of this complete breakfast. And so, as Ralph mentioned, I've had a creative agency for 10 years, and we work with entrepreneurs and AT&T and Diageo and, maybe Kenneth. But, it's really, really fun to do advertising and marketing, and I think you always think, maybe I could build a brand myself, especially when you work with the entrepreneurs that come in and help, name it, brand it, and then you see it everywhere. That's kind of a dream. So the idea behind 3 Wishes was a little smidge of narcissism. My last name is Wishingrad. But actually we had another name, and we had massive trademark issues. And it turns out anyone that makes any food in a grocery store could potentially make your item. So my wife and I got married at the Central Park Boathouse, and we were there scratching our heads before we launched, finding our trademark didn't work. And when my first son was born, my wife just posted on Instagram, and the caption was 3 Wishes. And she said, well, what about 3 Wishes? And I'm like, we're never gonna get 3 Wishes. It's too good. Someone probably has that trademark. And as so happens, it kind of fits our vision because there are other cereals that are high in protein. There are other cereals that are low in sugar. And there's maybe like 1 other grain-free cereal. But having that trifecta come together, high protein, low sugar, gluten, and grain-free, that was our 3 Wishes. So that double entendre was great. I went on uspto.gov on my iPhone to see if the trademark was clear. And the minute we got that trademark sticker, we have the certificate in our office, it kind of felt slightly divine, and we were like, maybe we have a shot here. So that's kind of the story behind 3 Wishes, and yes, we have a narrative issue at the moment. We have another son. He has nothing to do with the brand. And so I'm trying to get another SKU in my wife, and then maybe we'd have 3 kids, and then, that would be the 3 Wishes.
Talk about the favorite child. I know it. So jumping in there, I think, as we mentioned, especially with these economic conditions, especially with every dollar being important, Ian, how do you engage, recruit, and manage your leadership in the executional part of purpose, and how do you balance that purpose with that? How do you balance that profit with that purpose?
Okay, so I think when people talk about cause and purpose, there is a spectrum. And I also think different responsibilities fall on the shoulders of different brands at different stages of growth. So for us, we're trying to take on General Mills, Kellogg's, and Post, and already trying to make a product. Our product has chickpeas, pea protein, tapioca, monk fruit, organic cane sugar, and natural flavors. It's a very clean ingredient deck compared to the traditional players. So just trying to bring we're a little bit more expensive than your normal box of cereal. So to me, and as a parent, you've seen, as much as you have the dream of every morning waking up and making your kid a great breakfast, like reality hits and just convenience wins, and you see yourself falling into the funnel of the standard American diet and why your kids eat mac and cheese and dino nuggets, and your whole parenting plan gets thrown off. And so just from us making an affordable, better for you cereal available in 10,000 doors, we feel like that we're helping there. It's not like a Tom's where they buy a shoe, give a shoe, or Warby Parker, buy glasses and give. And I think as you mature as your brand, we are starting to think now, what are things that make sense for us? So at least I'm sure you've seen there's been a proliferation of celiac and autoimmune conditions. And so we want to be careful not to kind of be too much dietary focused where it gets a little maybe yucky if you're like, we are the IBS brand. That's not how you want to wake up. And then at the same time, we had a very close brush with tragedy. I have a tiny team. I've got this work wife named Melissa that's been with me from the advertising agency to the cereal company. And 3 months ago, she had her second daughter and almost died from septic shock and is like on her road to recovery. And being my wife's the CEO, we're all women besides me. We're women-owned business. We're thinking maybe maternal health, because we're just seeing there's a lot going on. There's a lot of ignorance. People don't know, like 1/3 of maternal deaths is from sepsis. And these are easy things you could have fixed with, 1 dose of zithromycin or something. So we are at the point now, we've been around for 4 years, where I think we do start to think about where do we belong and what is our cause. But in the early days, we raised a very small amount of money 4 years ago and kind of bucked the trend, because in our industry, it was very typical that you raise money, grow, raise more money, show investors a path to profitability. But we, in the ad agency we started, there was no money raised. You just made money, get a client, and that's how you would build it. So we were very traditional in that sense, that we've been profitable since 18 months in, and kind of pride ourselves on trying to grow very responsibly. So we're trying to balance everything as we grow, and that's kind of where we're at.
Absolutely, yeah. I think sometimes like the big grandioso play doesn't have to be so grand, right? It can be the little things. It can be, sweat equity plays. It can be just ensuring that we show up on social, or we talk about, giving back or raising awareness or things like that, and people do really hold on to it. In terms of, you mentioned the 10,000 doors plus, how difficult when you're an omni-channel retail brand is it to ensure that purpose and mission is communicated, and what measures do you guys take to ensure it's intact?
So I'd say, is there a way we get a picture of the box? Because we spent so much time focusing on the package. Unlike a lot of brands, a cereal box is massive, right? It's like an album cover. It's a really big piece of real estate. So you have to make sure that you're really doing a nice job of trying to do it all in a blink of an eye. And so for us, we didn't use a character, like a Tony the Tiger or something like that. We had to find a way to merchandise all the things that we are. Our 8 grams of protein, 3 grams of sugar, grain-free, and there's a high protein, low sugar, gluten-free. There's so many things you want to communicate, and the art of balancing a certain youthful energy plus the functional things that people are looking for that says, I'm serious. There's real call-outs here. I'm not trying to just say a good source of fiber, heart healthy, some like loose BS kind of terms. And so I'd say that is so much of what we do is put into our packaging. And then if you read the back, there's a story you can read so you understand as a family. We put our faces on it. So that's what we try to do. Like every bounce, we even made it on the bottom of the box. No one looks there. We were reviewing die lines before we printed, and I noticed that the bottom of the box says nothing but a barcode. So we thought we'd put a little Easter egg, and we wrote these long stories that are like in wave fonts and just kind of tell you more about the company. So we tried to take all these little moments, and make you kind of love us more and share our story. And generally, we're trying to be the brand that's for families, making it easier to feed your kids better. But we're not, I hate this term like boil the ocean. We're not trying to get over our skis. I don't know how much other lingo I could use here, but we're trying very hard to be net positive and get going in the right direction without losing our authenticity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to appeal to the children in the stores, right? Like, got to be exciting, got to be creative, got to be fun to look at both in store and on the table every morning, and then also mom and dad, right? So hit them with the main facts, let them know this is good for you, and just can keep that consistency. Curious, at conferences such as this, well, not conferences such as this, but what you always hear is, listen to your customer, listen to your advocates, listen to what they're saying to you. When you reach out and ask to your customers, your advocates, and they give you some feedback on your purpose or on your brand, and you have to take that in, have you ever deviated away from maybe a product or a campaign or adjusted your strategy because of, who follows you the most?
We definitely don't ask. You don't need to ask. If you make a brand in this space, people will come to you in your DMs, in your email, and berate you with opinions and questions. So no, we don't do that. We try to put the best product out there, and no, we do not go solicit or do that. We do all our own internal stuff. There's no focus groups, nothing like that.
Fair enough. But I mean, like on, we work with a number of baby brands, parent brands, things like that. The groups on Reddit, the groups on Facebook, things like that. Any community sort of fielding or massaging that you go through?
We listen. So those moms and those groups, they do a lot of their own chatting without us prompting. So just by being there, seeing on shelf, some influencer posted that was worked for us, we watch and listen to the conversation and what they say, and we're fine with it, for the most part. But we have not had any ahas or anything come from that. We just know our parameters. For instance, I have no issue with honey, but we technically are a vegan brand, and so our honey flavor is honey flavored. I would prefer to use real honey, but there is a community of vegans that would really be upset by that, and so for that purpose, we do a honey flavor.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, in terms of, I can see why they put you up for purpose and passion from the conversation thus far. Who else do you think is doing a good job in the space, and could you give any examples of what you've seen that you felt really aligned with purpose and passion?
I don't know, it's tough because I think it's really hard to separate the corporate talking, stuff, which I kind of roll my eyes at, and then the ones that are doing it. So I think the ones that have built it from, that was their whole thing. Like I was saying, Tom's Shoes, that was like a mission brand. Yeah. That's impressive. Or Warby did it then. I can't say, you know what, say what you want about Elon and Tesla, just by making a product that makes you want to drive an electric car, I think, a lot of times it's the product sometimes, and it's not so overt, but going against fossil fuels and doing that in a way that doesn't feel like you have to drive a car that virtue signals that, it's not pretty, but I'm for the environment. So I think that, yeah, but I would say I think it's very difficult to figure out who's doing it, and it doesn't feel like an obligation. I think blending it in naturally, trying to do your best is works for me.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, we work with a lot of, early stage businesses, and they're all trying to touch on that CSR purpose tonality, and then all you have to do is do a little due diligence on them, and you can see it's just a front. So there is a fine line between putting it out there and not backing it up and feeling and looking inauthentic, but then also, understanding that Gen Z, millennials, definitely in this day and age, they do want, to align with purpose and do want that.
But they expect it to be embedded. They expect it to just be you're governing yourself correctly and you're trying to do the right things. Mm-hmm. But I think that data wags the dog, and so many times well, Gen Z loves the environment. Okay, yeah, I'm not. And then but that is not that's not what does it. I mean, you see so many brands that are popular don't fit that narrative with Gen Z. So yeah, I think we have to look through a sane lens on that.
Yeah, that's great. What would you say, touching on that point, to any leadership, executive team, folks that we have in this room, when trying to be more committed to purpose in 2024?
Well, purpose is such a big word.
It is, yeah. It's a big question.
So you could kind of, we're marketers. You could make purpose. You could make anything purposeful. You could make your time with your family purposeful. You could make your relationships at work purposeful. I think it's everyone's trying to be net positive and everything. Like that would be, if everyone did their share, it would really work. And be in a place that has a great culture with the right people, and that is the recipe for success.
Exactly. I mean, it's a two-sided question, right? Obviously, you want to attract new customers and emerging customers and bring them on, but you also want to recruit great people, right? So people, employees align with that vision, see a company that promotes that purpose and stays on track with that. And as we just saw, sticking to a weekly sort of agenda of instilling that, I think is massive. But that's all we got time for today. Thank you, Ian. That was some fantastic intel there. I do want to give it out. Are we going to have some questions and things like that? Or yeah, jump on in. Oh, good question there. I'll run up.
Hi, thank you so much. My name's Anna from Quantcast. You talked a lot about like families and how you're trying to make cereal better for a family. I have a lot of friends, no one has kids yet, but they're all getting into Three Wishes and kind of getting back into eating cereal. I'd love your opinion on like how you're growing that category, or I guess recapturing those consumers who like don't consider cereal a part of their daily diet, but now are starting to because it's healthy.
Thank you. So when I say families is, I forget, there's a great case study. I think it was like the Toyota Scion or a Honda Fit. There was some car that was created for the millennials. And they went millennial on it. It didn't resonate, but it was like killing with an entire other demographic. And so for a brand, I think we do not have the coffers required to go for everyone. So I think our thought was, still traditionally, let's go for families. That's who's kind of bringing it in. That is where the main consumption is. We are for everyone. We have people that have lost 100 pounds that like us. We have all the fit influencers. We've got people that are trying to top up their macros and do it there. But it's really hard to talk to all the communities. So, and then when you look everywhere, it turns into like a bug-eyed prism and you've lost focus. So we try to kind of stay here, but kind of have our arms open to everyone.
All right,
Great.
thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome.